Hey, we're podcasting.
The dream is true.
Right on. We're trying something different this week, so if it's totally fucked up, don't get mad. It's a free program.
I'm mad no matter what.
Yeah.
I try to keep my rage levels. Sorry, go on.
Welcome to episode 121 of the motherfucking podcast. This is the official podcast of the International Power Rock Combo motherfucking Ruckus from Denver and Chicago, respectively. Man, I wonder if I should rebrand this podcast because literally Gordo has been on the show more than any of my bandmates combined. And people are starting.
The Howell Gordo.
Yeah, pretty
special?
much.
Yeah,
pretty much the Granny Ruckus cast. Anyway, this is episode 121. We're doing something different this time. First of all, I'm very excited to have Jake Fairly in the studio. That is our first live in studio guest since March.
Oh,
How
really?
does it feel to be the first person to come into the room since March?
Terrifying.
Is it terrifying?
No.
It's not scary at all? You know what's fucking...
You see, I don't know. We'll see what's about to happen. I think that shit is about to get fucking wiggity again, but, I don't know.
It's already a little wiggity, though.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
The numbers, and this is just from my understanding. Last I heard is that the numbers are, the daily numbers are higher than they were when the whole thing kicked off.
I want to say it was 3 days ago or something was the highest recorded cases since.
Yeah, something like that. You should get closer to your mic, by the way.
Sure.
In Portland.
Well.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, my understanding is that. I've heard people say, don't tell anybody this, but somebody that I know that works for the governor's office said that the restaurants are about to close down again.
Yeah, they said that last time. They said that last time. And I think the difference is now people are kind of getting to the point where, the initial shock and terror is worn off, and things have gotten so bad this year that everyone's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, I almost kind of feel to a certain extent, the cat's out of the bag, I think that people are just kind of accustomed to what life has become, and
they're tired of sitting around.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it's definitely in Portland. People are just they need to be on a patio and be drinking and hanging out with people that they know.
Fuck
and
Portland.
it kind of outweighs the risks.
Dude, fuck you, Macy.
And that's kind of the thing is I think we were talking before we got on. By the way, my guests today, my partners in the Front Lines of Good Times animated series, the comic book, and the artist and animator behind our new video coming out, the video for Acropolis Now. I've got Jake Fairly in the studio.
That's me.
Let's go to Jake's mic, or Jake's video right there. See, that's Jake.
What a handsome mother.
And then we got Macy Lytle, live via satellite from via Skype-alite.
Beautiful White Eagle Saloon.
Is that where you are right now, huh?
Bar and restaurant.
Are you at work?
Portland, Oregon.
You still work there?
No, I am a permanent layoff currently.
Oh, really?
So,
I like your shirt, Macy.
I think you're more of a permanent lay. Weapon goes in and it doesn't come out.
Hey, bro, there's no such thing as a permanent lay. All right.
I stay in there.
No, but we were talking before we got on, Jake. Do you have you seen the new South Park yet? The pandemic special?
No, I haven't watched it.
So it's awesome.
It's good.
People are talking about that thing.
I have heard a lot of people talking about it.
Well, what's awesome about it is it's just what we needed, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of needed an opportunity to laugh about some of the shit that's been going down.
Sure. Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of stuff, I could feel a lot of pain being purged through laughing at the jokes in it. They made a COVID mustaches joke, which I was a really big fan of.
What's COVID mustache?
Okay, have you noticed that Macy's got one right now?
Yeah.
There's been this trend of people growing mustaches.
Uh-huh.
So I work with a bunch of really young guys at Fire on the Mountain, and I started noticing this trend where someone would pull down their mask to take a drink of water, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is that on your lip?
Goddamn mustache from.
What is that?" And there would be just like a mustache growing. They were like, "Oh, I'm growing a mustache," And I started seeing this pop up all over.
No, I did it too. I had a handlebar mustache for like 2 months.
I saw that.
Hilariously
It was
stupid,
really cool.
yes.
But so they made a joke about that. But kind of at the end of the episode, they touched on this thing that just like everybody is so tense and anxious and scared and frustrated, and like at the end of the day, it's all manifesting in all these different ways, and certainly there are a ton of people out in the streets who are protesting for good reasons, but worldwide there's protests going on for a variety of reasons that one can argue as to the degree of their viability.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But they're going on all over the world. You know, there was protests all over Europe and all over Asia.
London had,
There's been all sorts of crazy stuff going on. And basically, like, the way they presented it in this episode of South Park was like Stan has this breakdown where he just starts crying, and he's just like, I just want to get back.
The dad?
No, Stan is the dad's kid, Randy Marsh's. Come on, keep up. You ever watch the show?
I don't like South Park.
You don't watch South Park?
No.
Oh, my God.
I'll get into I'm a hipster, dude. I'm like to the core. To the extent that I'm like, South Park, no. I liked it when I was a teenager.
Is South Park not a hipster thing? Hipsters don't like South Park? Why?
No, I don't.
Why?
Okay,
Talking to your microphone.
So,
why don't hipsters like South Park?
I liked it when I was a teenager. And, you know, like as a teenager, like, I thought that they generally made all like, you know, it was both a funny show, but also that they were
poignant
like, really
social
insightful.
commentary.
Yeah. And then as I kind of got older, first of all, knowing that they're like fucking staunch libertarians makes me just think like, these guys are kind of assholes, maybe, you know? And I don't know, I kind of just lost interest in it. And every subsequent episode that I've watched, it's not like I dislike it. I don't think it's like a shitty show or anything.
So are you talking like big L libertarian or little L libertarian? Like libertarian like the political party, or libertarian like the opposite of authoritarian?
I would say
like on the
political party. So would that be little L in your
definition? That's big L, political party.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And you know, like I said, I'm not like shit talking. If you like South Park, that is great.
No, it's cool. I'm just very surprised to hear that. I kind of have always thought of South Park as being like the American satirists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just such a smart show, and they both have, like, I have heard that in the past they both identified as libertarians. I don't know if they necessarily would anymore. I know that's an old thing that they said.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a different time. I'm also talking out of my fucking ass right now. I don't like know that much about these guys. Oh, yes, so you're going to renege on this now, huh?
Let's keep digging this hole. Okay? No, I'm just... No, go ahead. What were you saying, Macy?
Oh, no, I just want to keep digging in Jake's ass.
Yeah. Digging in that.
I love that about our relationship.
I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that it was that was a thing. That there was a lot. Like, I kind of figured that South Park was the thing of like semi countercultural, like wild punk rock, crazy people.
I would say, like, you remember when it was on television in like the late '90s? Like at that point, it was a very rock and roll TV show. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's not dissimilar from like what happened with The Simpsons. It's just like very corporatized to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like anything is like new and hip and cool and interesting, and then it's like everybody starts liking it, and then everybody likes it because it's good.
It's like Rick and Morty,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets played out.
It gets played out, dude.
Rick and Morty was cool until people started taking interest in it.
Again, I'm a big hipster. That
like
matters to me. Like fucking, if something becomes too popular, I almost innately will be opposed to it, which makes me a douche. That doesn't make me cool. I'm like, you know, acutely aware of that.
I'm an aging hipster, so like the stuff that I think is cool.
Falling apart.
Yeah. The stuff that I think is cool is like not even close to cool in the eyes of, you know,
actual. Give it like 10, 15 years, and then like a new generation of people will think it's cool.
That is true.
I got to tell you, Jake, I'm a little stunned to find that out. Like all this time I thought that just like one of the things that I was so relieved about when that episode of South Park came out, like because I do think you should check it out.
Yeah, I think I am going to watch it. Like I said, I've just like heard so many people talking about it.
It really tickled my funny bone on a few things, but I felt like because they kind of there are certain. Thank you, Ethan. Hey, shout out to Ethan Klein, our tech guru, for getting everything up and going so we could do this podcast. So there are certain types of people who are somewhat uncancelable because they kind of have a reputation that precedes them as saying controversial things.
Yeah. Why would you say something so controversial?
Yeah,
so
but
brave?
but it's part of their brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like someone like Sam Harris, for example, has very controversial conversations with people. So he's pretty much uncancelable because he's kind of known as a brand for having those talks with people. You know what I mean?
That's why you hire him in the first place.
Think about like fucking Dave
Right,
Chappelle
right.
or something like
Dave
that.
Chappelle, exactly, is another example of that. Dave Chappelle can cross a lot of lines because he's a comedian where he's kind of known as that being part of his brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The irreverence and unorthodox nature of his commentary is part of his brand.
Yes.
And I've always seen South Park as that. So when they said that they were coming out with a pandemic special, my feeling was like, thank God they're going to touch on some of these things and they'll kind of let the steam out of the pressure cooker a little bit and maybe give us a little bit of headroom for people to start talking to each other and stop yelling at each other just a little bit, just ease the tensions a little bit. And I personally felt that when watching it. But what I was mentioning is Stan at this very end of the episode, like he's trying to break into Build-A-Bear because he keeps like saying that Butters needs some normality in his life and all this shit. So like, and Stan is like doing this like classical projection thing onto Butters and like, we got to get Butters out of here. We got to get him to Build-A-Bear and da-da-da. Takes him here and nothing's working out and he's getting all frustrated. And at the very end, he like kind of like breaks down crying. And he's just like, I just want my fucking life back. I just,
I feel that very much.
I miss my life. Exactly.
I say that out loud nearly every day of my fucking 2020 life.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the main, like, that was the apex, the climax of the episode was kind of reaching this point where, that's what it all built up to, is like expressing what I think is, at least in a lot of the conversations I've had with people on the show or, friends from the neighborhood or what I've been, what I have been seeing on social media when I allow myself to indulge in it, is a lot of people are just frustrated because they want their lives back. And I think even though the numbers are high still, I think we've seen the levee is just broken. Yeah. And people are just kind of like, fuck it, I'll do everything I can to keep myself and everybody else safe, but the dice are going to fall where they're going to fall.
That's kind of what I mean when I say that, like, thinking that the cat is out of the bag. I think just like we've already fucking gone through this like period wherein people are kind of comfortable or sort of understand what their life is going to be like under these circumstances, and like I think are going to probably be a little more fast and loose with how they behave than they were at the beginning of this. And like, I mean, outside of like a really strictly enforced government state mandate, I don't think you're going to fucking go back to phase one or whatever the
well, I mean, except here in Denver, they're trying to. Have you, and actually, Macy, I wanted to ask you, I really wanted to hear a lot about Portland. Because I've got a handful of guests who are coming on the show who are from Portland. I've got my buddies from My New Vice coming on the show here soon. My New Vice, not Miami Vice. Just, I know I said that really quickly.
Wait, it is okay for me to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, go ahead and smoke a cigarette. Yeah.
Cool.
But have you guys seen any changes to the public health mandates recently?
So, I don't know. It's just back and forth. Basically, the rioting and the protesting has just been on the forefront of just fucking civilization right now. It's
Right.
like, me and my girlfriend live 2 blocks away from like one of the justice centers.
Oh shit!
And
You guys live
yeah,
right next to
and
one of the justice centers,
yeah,
like where the shit
and
has been going down.
yeah, and it's been crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, once a month or whatever, there's like a 4 or 5 block radius just on that street that you can't drive on. And just
Like because they've
that
created
being
an
coupled with
autonomous zone, or
COVID,
just they're keeping it blocked off.
it's just because of burnt rubble.
Oh my fucking god, dude.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's weird in Portland because the protesting and that stuff can be like so in your face, while simultaneously being something that you never think about, because it is so contained in like a 5 to 10 block radius, like downtown, and then there's a couple other like police centers that they march around.
Right.
So that, I mean, there's hundreds and sometimes thousands of protesters there, and that with COVID, I think is a really strange kind of, I don't know, mix in society. Like, so as far as like, my girlfriend's working, she's the bar manager. She's super busy all the time still.
Yeah, she's still on like full time, right?
Huh?
She's still on like full time, right?
Yeah, she's like full time,
Yeah.
and she's making more money now than she was before COVID.
Oh no shit.
We
Yeah.
saw a 25% increase in business from last year.
That's not what is happening everywhere. Like the restaurant that my sister works in is not fucking.
I think it depends on what the model of the business
I think
is,
so, too.
and like if
I
it's
feel, yeah.
if it's a
I feel
bar
like
that's
it's
set
either
up for
or.
that.
Yeah, it's also, like the bar, like the space needs to, be able to occupy people sitting at every other table and still function, or, a lot of places have been putting up the screens and stuff like that.
Yeah, patios and shit,
But I guess, and I do want to talk about some of the protests and rioting, and I do appreciate that you make the distinction, because I mean I think it's important for us, especially those of us who consider ourselves to be, members of this leftist side of the political divide. Like I think it's important for us to have honest dialogues with. Like, I don't think the big issue we are so polarized right now that the challenge is not even reaching across the aisle to the people on the right, which should also happen, in order to like unify the country and get everybody back together and try and save the republic. But we're at the point where it's gotten so divided that like we have to reach across the aisle to people on our own side of the political
that's
divide.
like one of the big problems with the quote unquote left side of the fucking aisle is that like they're, it's just a more diverse, it is a more diverse or more eclectic group of people, and there just are more viewpoints out there. I mean, it's a thing that the right is good at. It's just fucking everybody gets behind this one.
Well, it's the ideology of new ideas.
Sure.
That's the whole purpose of the left.
Yeah.
Is the purpose of the right is structure and systems and hierarchies and all these different things. And then the left is basically supposed to come in and shake things up and criticize those hierarchies. But when it goes wrong is when you have, like I did that political compass test, and I wasn't surprised at the results I got, which, by the way, I recommend people take the political compass test and then look at the election political compass, and it's terrifying. Like pretty much almost every presidential candidate from this election, 2016, all the way back to 2012 when Obama ran, everybody is up in the authoritarian right quadrant. Everybody.
Sure.
Biden, Kamala Harris, fucking Obama, Trump, Pence, all of them. They're all in that upper right-hand quadrant. And
that's where all the fucking money is.
Well, right. And then I looked at mine and I registered kind of in about where I thought I was going to be, in the centrist, leftist, the libertarian-ish,
sure.
That lower left quadrant. But but some of the questions in it, there weren't. It was missing a lot of kind of more recent issues that I think tear people apart on the left all the time.
Yep.
You know, ideas on identity politics, ideas on how the COVID situation is being handled.
Yeah.
You know, ideas on, people's thoughts and feelings around protesting and rioting and what's the difference and where do we make the distinction. There's all this, like, we are so fractured on the left that, like, having a conversation with people on the right is just, like, it seems like this far off. Like,
it's fucking crazy. I mean, dude,
yeah.
like, I don't know. Earlier today, I did some yard work at my grandmother's place. My grandmother is, she's pretty far right. And, I kind of like, I look at this lady as being emblematic of what I think a lot of people on the right tend to think. And, just like boilerplate talking points, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about politics while I was putting some mulch in her yard. And she had me watch this. She's like, will you watch this 17-minute video? And it's some fucking old geezer motherfucker. It's just like fucking, it's so much more about antagonizing the other team than it is about promoting your own fucking ideology or your own fucking, the talking points. I mean, this whole video is just the liberals are going to fucking come for you and they're going to cut your goddamn daughter's head off. And he's not talking about their own policy or anything like that in this fucking video. And again, it's just like, it was, frankly, if it wasn't so terrifying, it would be a really funny video because this guy just it's just this old guy, telling other old people to be afraid of the new frontier, basically,
Right. Well, and then on the other side, you have the folks on the left who are making a sport out of shouting dissenting opinions out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And out of shaming people and doxing people and doing what, I mean, I certainly support a person's right to protest, and I certainly support standing up for what you believe in.
Of course.
But there are some people out there who are doing revolutionary cosplay. Straight up.
Yep.
Like
I agree with that.
they're glorifying, like the Chinese Cultural Revolution or like the Russian Revolution. Like they're glorifying these things that had implications of costing human lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I absolutely have. I have had coworkers and people in my vicinity that were like, "Did you catch my stream last night? Like I was out there."
Right.
And it's honestly, it's like if you watch their stream, it's just pointed at themselves. Like it's just this like frame that's like literally this big, just around
the me
their
show,
face the whole time, and it was just so weird to see the difference between the people that were there because they wanted to support this cause or whatever, and then people that were there because it was just like the thing to do, which is just a really interesting thing because it's like you need those people too because you ultimately need numbers anyway.
It's true.
But the bigger the numbers
there's
get,
something ingenuine about it that's really interesting.
Well, and the bigger the numbers get, it's like we're being asked, and not even asked, we're being expected to ignore the statistical anomaly of the percentage of people in any large group that are bad faith actors.
Sure.
Disingenuous.
Yeah.
It's like there are no matter what your cause is, there are people who are hitching their wagon to it because like it's not about supporting the cause of Black Lives Matter. It's about going and trying to destroy capitalism and burn it down and try and destroy society because of an idea of some sort of anarchist utopia, or some sort of ultra leftist communist utopia or something like that. Like there are people out there like that.
Yeah.
And then likewise there are people on the right where it's like there are people who are just patriots and they believe in protecting the country and all these different things, and they want to they're they're proud of the country and they want to protect it. And at the same time, there are fucking wingnuts out there who do want to see a white ethno state.
Oh yeah, for sure. That shit definitely fucking exists.
They are out there. But I think that on either side, what we do is we kind of take those fringe people, and legacy media is largely responsible for this, of pointing the cameras at the individuals, in those bad faith actors, and using them to win arguments for whatever team that they're on.
For sure.
You know, and I saw this video today that I cannot believe is not in greater circulation. When I saw it, there was only something like 12,000 views on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a chapter leader of Black Lives Matter from Utah,
mm-hmm.
and a chapter leader of the Proud Boys conducting a press conference where they sat down, or where they basically went on this press conference to say, hey, we got in touch during a protest. We were introduced to each other. We have had correspondence. We've had several sit-down conversations, and we're here to set the record straight. And we've been learning a lot from each other. And, you know, basically legacy media has some shit to answer for. You know, they are portraying narrative. You know, Fox News is portraying an inaccurate narrative on Black Lives Matter and leadership. And they are, you know, and then on the left, you have the people who are and this is, again, you know, I don't want to get lit on fire for this, but this is like from the video that I saw is like, you know, left-wing media is mischaracterizing the Proud Boys through this conversation that they're having.
Sure.
And dude, seriously.
You tread lightly here, man.
Yeah, I know. But I watched it and it's like, and they talked about some of the misconceptions about various Antifa cells and things like that. And it was just interesting to see these two people conducting a press conference where they were, I mean, it was very respectful. It was very it was like, look, this is what she says that we agree with. This is what, you know, these guys say that I agree with. This is where we have disagreement, but we're sitting down and we're having a conversation. And they even, and again, I don't want to get lit on fire for this, but in this conversation, this woman who is a, you know, Black Lives Matter chapter leader is basically talking about how, you know, she came to understand that they have a vetting process to actually actively keep white supremacists out of the Proud Boys because it's not what their ideology stands for, which I found really confusing, and I would need to see more source material on that. You know, I'm just not just going to buy that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
But this was a piece of say what?
They don't like it.
They don't like what?
Well, I mean, it still just doesn't negate
white supremacy. It's like, we don't like it.
Yeah, we're not for it. We're not fans.
It still doesn't negate, for example, you know, fucking Stand Back and Stand By. Like, ultimately, under that circumstance, like, they are specifically identified as a white supremacist organization, and the fucking rhetoric is still.
They even commented on that Trump thing.
Like,
the Proud Boys chapter leader that was on that even commented on that.
What did he say?
He was basically like, we don't take that as a dog whistle. Like he was speaking in the verbiage that was presented to him by Chris Wallace in the debate. It's like that was a surprise to us as much as it was a surprise to the rest of the country. And it's I would have to look up what the actual video is called.
I wish it was more of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be a better world if it was a bigger surprise.
Look, and I don't know, and I kind of want to like find this video so I can tell you guys what it is. Anyway, I'm sure if you just Google, Black Lives Matter and Proud Boys meet up, Utah video, press conference, whatever, if you look that up, you can see it, and people can judge for themselves.
Sure.
You know, I don't know, especially living in the age of the information wars where people are like, we have directly experienced, you know, trolls or like Russian troll farms.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's been established. It's not a conspiracy theory. You know, there are people out stoking the fires of hatred and things like that. And legacy media is kind of a dying it's kind of a dying form, so they're doing whatever they can to get clicks. So, I have seen mischaracterizations of all kinds of people on both sides of the divide by major media outlets and just regular ass people on social media platforms.
Because everything is so fucking sensationalized, like in order for, because it's structured like a business, and in order for business to be as good as it can be, they're trying to entertain you. Like fucking, it is entertainment over information in terms of the priority, and that isn't a good way to fucking distribute information. Fucking having a well-informed public isn't going to be most successfully achieved if the means by which information is distributed is to fucking
stoke rage and
sell you a fucking action movie or whatever. Like that's not. This isn't a fucking action movie. This is information. We're just trying to understand.
Well, it's a highlight reel for your team. If you're watching, it's like if you're watching the Broncos play on the local channel. In between actual gameplay, there's going to be highlight reels of your team kicking ass. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's the same principle.
100%. Yes.
It's like here's the fucking highlight reel of our team and our team's ideology, and here's the other team making an ass of themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you know what is interesting is how much of that you see
the
in
owned videos
media,
and shit like that.
News media is, fucking, again, it's like it's more about antagonism than it is about, it's fucking, I've been watching that NXIVM documentary on HBO.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's fucking fascinating. I've been thinking about cults a lot recently is what I'm trying to say. And
I mean, we're living in an age of cults,
No, fucking,
it's crazy.
Like, what there is in order to run a successful cult is establishing the ideology under which you're going to be, fucking conducting yourself. And the immediate next step is to create antagonism. That there is a group of people that are fucking out to get you and are, agents of compromising, compromise you and your beliefs and your fucking, your functionality as a person. That's fundamental to being able to run a cult. And ultimately, again, fucking watching all of this antagonistic rhetoric in the news just makes me think you're in a fucking cult, dude. Like,
Right. Well, and to kind of circle back around to what we were kind of like originally talking about is this idea that, like, for some reason, we're not supposed to acknowledge the fact that people are not just spilling into the streets because they're standing up for what they believe in. They're spilling into the streets because they have something they believe in, and they're out of work, and they've got too much free time on their hands, and they're staring at their phones all day, and we're in an election season, and people are lonely and miss each other, and the various governments around the world in at least democratized nations are saying, you have the right to go out in the street and protest. Mm-hmm. Like here in the U.S., and we can run down the U.S. all day long, but one thing that we do have is the right to peaceful protest, and it's become a loophole for people to spill out into the streets and be with each other.
Sure, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I would understand the criticism towards bringing that up if it was only happening here, but it's happening worldwide with a bunch of different causes. There's the election in Belarus, and there were people spilling into the streets for that. There's been all sorts of stuff in Germany. There's like a whole anti-masker, pro-masker clash in Germany right now. It's wild.
That is a partisan issue. Of
course it's a partisan issue.
A disease is just not a fucking candidate. It's not doesn't work for the government. You know what I'm saying?
Well, of course it's a partisan issue.
I mean,
because the various teams have made it into a partisan issue.
Yeah.
It could have been this opportunity to unify all of us, but instead it's like,
Again, that shit doesn't sell
hey,
newspapers.
we've really got to get Trump out of here. Let's figure out a way to stack the deck against him because he really blew it. And in all honesty, he really did blow it.
He really fucking blew it. Yes.
Right. But then on the other side, Trump's sitting there going, it's a Democratic hoax, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. They tried to get me with the one hoax. By the way, have you watched the Totally Under Control documentary that just came out?
No.
Of course, just in time for the election, they've already put out a documentary that pretty much outlines the timeline of COVID. And it was a really interesting documentary, and I found it to be captivating, and there was a lot of great stuff in it. My only complaint about it is it was so obviously a hit piece. You know, it wasn't like, here's all the facts that are damning enough in themselves.
Yeah.
It was deliberately designed to go after the other team. You know, it was deliberately presented with that tone.
That's just a bad thing about some documentaries. It's like,
Yeah.
like we get it. You don't have to fucking.
Dude,
yes,
and
I know how to
get
speak
it,
English.
man.
I understand this. You know, like fucking.
And look, I consider myself a fan of Western liberalism, and I don't mean liberalism like the way we talk about it, liberals and conservatives. I mean like
the ideology itself.
Like I mean like the ideology of liberalism that brought about the thriving of Western ideas at their best as we see them.
Yeah.
You know, the ideas that ended slavery worldwide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ideas that gave workers' rights worldwide, that brought about human rights.
You know,
human rights, right? You know, I'm a big fan of Western liberalism.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think that it is unresourceful and foolish for us to have conversations only with the purpose of winning against the other team.
I totally agree with that. I mean, that's kind of the backbone of what there is about fucking toxic masculinity or fucking just being a shitty asshole in general. Having to be fucking right every single time words come out of your mouth.
Right.
That's a characteristic of somebody who's got some self-improvement in their possible future,
You know, and I totally get that. And I was actually thinking about this today. I kind of feel bad for our parents' generation, especially the men in our parents' generation who had those type of norms put on them and did not have access necessarily to the broader world that might have shown them a different way.
Yeah.
You know, like I pick up my son and I kiss him on the mouth and I tell him I love him 50,000 times a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there was a time where that was not necessarily thought of as being okay. And it's very easy for us to look back on generations before us with a critical eye, even though the world has changed immeasurably in the 38 years I've been alive.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of things that we take for granted that, and I don't mean it in the sense like I mean that in the true sense of the phrase, taking it for granted. Like there are things that we just take as being common sense that were not common sense 5 fucking minutes ago.
Yeah.
You know, in the grand scheme of things. But I've just finished this book recently called How to Have Impossible Conversations by James Lindsay and Peter Boghossian.
I didn't know you knew how to read, dude. That's tight.
Well, it was an audio. It was an audio book.
It counts. The fucking dude.
Yeah.
Put that out on the fucking scoreboard.
But I was going through the book, and most of the book is just about how to have dialectic instead of debate. How to sit and listen to each other and try to understand, what people are saying instead of creating out-groups.
Yeah.
And I talked about this when Aaron Say was on the show. I don't like the idea of enemies in exile.
Sure.
Because the more enemies you have in exile, the more they team up. Like
that's not wrong. That's 100% right.
If you create an out-group, that out-group creates its own in-group.
Here. That's how fucking Trump
Precisely.
happened.
That's exactly how Trump happened.
Yeah.
Is, aside from the fact that the Russians definitely meddled in our election.
Unequivocally, yes to that.
They absolutely definitely meddled in the election.
Yeah, but this
and
fucking,
continue to do
this,
so.
Again, fucking right-wing cult that's existent in America at this point is absolutely the product of, like you were just saying, fucking isolating this whole fucking group of people, and they, it's just enough people fucking pity partying, feeling bad for themselves, and fucking ultimately led to this being a mainstream thing now. Again, they elected a president over it.
Right. Well, I mean, look, we're all white males here. and we're right. We're all and I believe all three of us are mostly heterosexual, I would say. I don't think anybody is 100% heterosexual.
I was going to say, I was doing a big cuddle with my friend Tom last night. It was great.
See, I've always thought of myself, like I've always thought about my my degree on the sexuality spectrum as being like probably 80% straight, and that 20% is like Roman soldier. Gay.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I love the men I serve in battle with. You know, I want to embrace them in brotherhood. Like, you know, that is definitely a thing. Anyway, but as three, you know, primarily heterosexual, mostly demonstrating Caucasian males, you know. If you are told over and over again that in various ways that somehow you are the source of all evil on the planet, you know, luckily I'm pretty resilient and anti-fragile, and I can let a lot of that shit roll off my back. But I've also got a little boy at home that I've got to send out into the world, and who is going to experience at some point someone who automatically writes him off because of the fact that he's a middle-class white male, right?
Sure.
And if you're not as resilient, like if you haven't fortified and steeled yourself against the possibility that you're going to come up against that kind of resistance, like if you've grown up in a container where that's, you know, you've never experienced that kind of pushback, and you're less enlightened and you're less evolved, I can see how it would be easy to tip the other way and go, well, if I'm not welcome over here, then I'll go where I am welcome.
Yeah. And
where I am welcome is over here at the VFW Hall or the Elks Lodge or over here, you know, and then to the greater extreme.
Arby's.
The what? Arby's.
That was a good one. I mean, I just think, like, I don't know, first of all, in terms of, like, just the kind of, like, almost comical hypocrisy of, like, I don't know, you know, I was, like, talking to my grandmother again today. She's like, it's like, I feel afraid to go out and play. Like, she's afraid to be a Republican in public, basically. And I'm like, no. It was like, you know, she's got this whole fucking element of the narrative that is, like, being white is a sin, and you're going to be in trouble for being white. And
that's what Tucker Carlson told her.
100%. That's exactly what I was just going to say.
Right, but he didn't construct that. You know what I mean? They're taking a fear and a feeling that is present and magnifying it. It's like, like look at the Russian trolls, for example. They didn't create the racial tensions in the U.S. Okay, they did not create them. They didn't manufacture them and make them up.
They're good at manipulating them.
Is they took stuff that did exist and they picked at it.
Yeah.
And they stoked the fires with the express purpose of causing division in the country.
Yep. And it fucking worked, man.
It absolutely did work. You know, and it continues to work. So, I mean, that's kind of the point, is this stuff doesn't come from nowhere. And from my perspective, the antidote for that is to learn to take an arrow in the shoulder, learn to hear things that we find offensive, not take them personally, not identify people with their message, not identify people with their ideology, and kind of see past that to the human being that is below all of that. For sure,
yeah.
And try and learn about each other and try and find our common ground and our common humanity.
Yeah, because, I mean, it just comes down to empathy, you know? Fucking, just be wanting to, you know, approaching all of your engagements with other people from just a place of general kindness that, like, you know, you're a person, you deserve kindness, right? Unless you're some kind of fucking terrible person from, like, that's been established somewhere.
Well, and even, like, even a terrible person, even a psychopath, probably, you know, didn't come out of the womb wanting to murder people. You know what I mean? You look
Every
at someone
so
like
often that happens.
well, you look at someone like Ted Kaczynski, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ted Kaczynski. I saw this documentary on Ted Kaczynski, and they talked about he was
podcast.
this.
Let's get to some true crime.
He
shit,
was this. He was this like really happy baby and all this stuff and da 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 da. And he got sick, and was put in a hospital, and was isolated from his parents during a very crucial time of his childhood. He was isolated from his family for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
A period of months. And when they got him back, he was never the same. After that, he became very distant from people. Like all his warmth just totally shut off.
Well, he also just fucking thought that he deserved the world to be laid before his feet for him to do whatever he wanted. I mean, Kaczynski was a fucking classic asshole.
Yeah. Kaczynski was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But he didn't start out that way, is kind of my point.
Like
it was a process of moment-to-moment little tweaks and things that happened in his brain. You know, they were probably little genetic things that were latent there, but his environment triggered off those processes.
Yeah.
You know, his genetics. They unlocked the key to those gene sequences that made him into a monster. You know what I mean? But Macy, I want to know a little bit more about Portland and how you've been holding up and how things have been with the protests and the riots and like.
And what video game have you been playing?
Yeah.
Video games? I am super deep into League of Legends right now.
Nerd alert. All right,
it is
next
a 10-year-old video game that no one plays. Can you hear me?
What is Yeah, I can hear you. What's League of Legends?
It's a game that came out 10 years ago that nobody plays anymore, but I'm still playing it, or I just found out about it right now. So me and my friends have been playing that. It's an online multiplayer game, so we wreck some dudes on the internet. So I've been doing that a lot because I'm unemployed.
2020, the year of the video game.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to check in with everybody constantly and see where everybody's at. A big group of my friends just decided to go to Hawaii, so they've been there for like 3 weeks.
And they sent you a shirt? They sent you a shirt, I take it?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen Spence? He's out there right now. Sorry, Macy and I are like old friends.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, dude, this is just like a personal conversation. You know what? We did. I'm sorry. We could talk about this shit later. Here we go. Our friend, the drummer in Hail Satan, is out in Portland right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. No, I hope to see him. Yeah, and I've just been checking in on people. My girlfriend's working full time. I don't know. It's strangely normal. A lot of people are working and a lot of people are not working. A lot of people go out pretty often. I have a friend that lives downtown who's going to the protests, like every single night and has been down there, every single time or whatever, outside of, 2 or 3. And
there's more episodes of the protest than there have been of this podcast, by the way.
Yeah. It's crazy down there. I don't know. It's a weird thing to be constantly reminded of, because I feel like every Portlander, has that in the back of their mind that these protests are happening.
Like a Portlander, you're a Highlander.
I'm a Highlander.
You're
a Portlander.
There can be only one Macy.
There can only be me.
Yeah, and I saw something. So I follow Brett Weinstein and Heather Hying. They do a podcast and they live in Portland, and so they've been covering a variety of issues, but they've been covering the Portland situation from a ground's eye view pretty much all summer, and so I've been keeping pretty close tabs on it. I've been hearing them talk about it and how scary it is and how ugly it's gotten, and some of the things that maybe are in the blind spot of our contemporaries on the left. And then at the same time, I'm hearing people really downplaying it, really like going, like I'm sure many people have seen the meme where it's just like a little tiny red square in the map of the city of Portland, and like this is the total area of the protests, and it's mostly a peaceful thing, you know, but it's like yeah, it's a very small area, but there's a lot of extreme violence going down there.
Sure, yeah.
You know, there's buildings being attacked. There's, you know, there's people who are like literally throwing feces at the cops. You know what I mean? And then the cops are hamstrung because Ted Wheeler like refuses to basically let them do their jobs and refuses to shut it down. And at the same time, the people that Ted Wheeler is trying to facilitate are also at the same time calling for him to resign and are criticizing him and talking all kinds of shit on the one guy that's on their team.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's like the downplaying of it. There's also this aspect of that specifically. That there's this narrative that this is this like anarchist state where, you know, people are living in this like Mad Max dystopia.
Right.
And so there's a part of that, you know, where it's like, I don't know if you've seen like, there's a lot of reporters that are just posting normal photos of their like commute to work or whatever, or, you know, their trip on the bus, and it's just normal. And
right.
You know, it's just like normal streets and this just normal Portland stuff. Because there's that aspect of it where it's like, no, it's not complete chaos. It is, you know, designated to this area, and I'm not afraid for my life constantly.
Right.
You know, it's not this constant, you know, barrage of just like homeless camps and, you know, trading drugs and prostituting myself for sex and, you know, to try to get by and stuff like that. It's not that. It's not this dystopian place, I guess.
Right,
that,
right.
They are trying to paint it. And so there's two sides of that where it's like, it's not small.
Neither one is telling the whole
but
story.
it's not. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, you can criticize it, you know, however you want, but
your criticism is still going to fall short.
Yeah, it's just.
Because the criticisms on both sides are not completely accurate.
Yeah, they're either downplaying it or they're saying it's this
overinflating
huge,
it.
you know, overinflating it, and both sides are doing that simultaneously.
Because they're trying to win. Because their team
exactly.
they're trying to win for their team.
Yep.
You know, and dude, I'm just at this point, and I've been at this point, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I am really on the fuck team's team.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would start the fuck team's team were not for the fact that our team motto is fuck teams. Like seriously, man. I heard this interview with this journalist from Reason TV who was on the ground, and it was during one of the times that there was basically a confrontation between. There was a protest and a counter protest between the, you know, Antifa and Black Bloc and Black Lives Matter and all those groups. And then there was the Proud Boys on the other side. And she talked about how she kind of just wandered around talking to the different camps, interviewing people. And when the active protesting and rioting were going on, you know, she said, the times when that was not going on, she's just walking around talking to people, and everybody just acted like kids, like people. You know, it wasn't a matter of right versus left. It wasn't a matter of Proud Boys versus Antifa. It was, you know, a bunch of 20-year-olds hanging around, you know, getting each other water and resting up for the big, you know, the big clash that night, but also like, you know, some of them being aggressive, but most of them being polite and gracious and human.
I was gonna say it's just easy to forget that these are all fucking people that are doing this.
Yeah, it's all human beings.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. You ever see that Black Mirror episode where the guy goes into the military because they're at war with these monsters?
It turns out the monsters are actually just people.
They're human beings, and they've been like basically brainwashed into seeing them all as
sure.
monsters and stuff like that. Like man, that show is so like. It's a little too on the nose sometimes,
fucking, dude, like,
but
I can't watch more than like 2 episodes of it consecutively without just like
man,
having to fucking go lay down for a while. You know?
Man,
or just like
it's fucking harsh, man.
Painting.
Look at an
say what?
Yeah, like just look at nature, or like just think about art and painting and just the nice things in life. Like
take a fucking spirit shower, you know.
Yeah, like
it's funny that Charlie Brooker is like on record in 2020 being like, you know what? These times we don't need to make Black Mirror right now. The world doesn't need Black Mirror right now.
Right. Yeah, he's like the world is Black Mirror right now. Like just cool it.
Yeah. We got that fucking.
So now that we've solved all the world's problems, guys,
we're good at this.
We're really good at this, dude. And I
love that 3 white males can get together and solve all the problems.
Absolutely.
That's the way the founding fathers intended it, bro.
Yeah, he figured it out. Hey guys,
anybody? The revolution's over here. We're
taking care of it.
Just kidding. Macy, you look great right now.
You do look really good, Macy.
You're a beautiful human being.
And your background is gorgeous.
You look
like the brick and the foliage and the lights. It's very Portland where you are right now.
Well, where you work is very Portland.
It's weird because I'm in Portland.
Dude, I love Portland. I love that town. And
I do too.
And I got to tell you, I've been kind of rethinking about my intention with our video. Because so for those who don't know, Jake, of course, is the illustrator behind the Front Lines of Good Times comic book series by MF Ruckus and Jake Fairly, and Macy is the animator who brought you our last motion comic and is doing our music video for Acropolis now. And what started out as a song just about a titty bar in Portland that we like, and it's a great place, has become this like sort of love song to the city of Portland for me. Like it's like I just see what is going on with the fires and with the conflict and with the with the political unrest and just what is going on with the governor and the mayor and all these different things. And I just like, dude, I hurt for Portland, because I love that town so much. I have so many fond memories of going there and going to the Acropolis or playing shows with my friends from, My New Vice, or playing over at Dante's, or, going over to I played a couple shows at the Queen of Hearts and Plan B and just like these great memories that I have had about going to Portland. And it's like, if I were to name the top 3 places that I would go live if Denver burned to the ground and I had no home, like Portland is among the places that I would go to. And I've been thinking of this project that we've been working on. It's just so interesting that during this time, we're working on this goofy, silly video that takes place in an apocalypse, which begins in 2020. Like, in the comic, the beginning of the apocalypse was in 2020, which I think is fucking hilarious because we started writing it in like 2015.
Yeah.
And then 2020 became 2020. And so, like, you have this element of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you have the element of 2020, and you have the element of the Portland strip club and all this stuff in it, and then you add in the fact that the animator that's working on it also happens to live in Portland during this crazy time, and it just, I don't know. I mean, there's that saying, everything happens for a reason. You make up afterwards.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like we're doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? Like we're creating something that is kind of silly and goofy and cheeky out of love for this place that is going through a hard time right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what it's become for me as well. It's just, I don't know, it's so fun, and you know, there's just, like you were saying, there's so many aspects about it where it's, you know, set in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and 2020 has felt like that for a lot of people.
I'm over it.
You know, it's been very lonely for a lot of people, and for this music video to just, you know, be about a show, about a gathering of, you know, people having a good time, basically, and it's just goofy and dumb is, I don't know, is great, and I'm excited for it to be, you know, like I was telling you, the book end, you know, on 2020, you know, like we're, you know, release this during Christmas, you know, it's just, it's very, like, it's, I don't know, it's just oddly, you know, a pertinent time for it to be existent. Yeah,
it is oddly serendipitous. Yeah, man. So, how's it going, by the way? How's the video going?
It's going good, man. I work on art like 10 to 12 hours a day. I'm on unemployment. I probably, you know, realistically stay up for 2 days and sleep for 20 hours, and then stay up for 2 days and sleep 20 hours, and that's been my schedule.
You're a mentally ill person.
Huh?
You're a mentally ill person.
That's true.
I am. I survive in the night.
A night driver.
I'm a night driver, man. But yeah, it's been really good. I, like I said, fucking art all the time, which is, this is the first time in my life that I've had enough time to dedicate towards art, and it's great. I don't know why I haven't done unemployment before.
Well, I don't think unemployment quite paid out as much as it has been.
It's a different time for unemployment.
No.
Dude, I wish I was on unemployment.
Also, I need to note that my significant other is working full time, and that's the only way that I'm surviving.
Yeah. If I could stay home and still provide for my wife and child, I definitely would, because what I have been enjoying about this, and you know, you got to find your moments of enjoyment where you can.
That's important. You still got to fucking find happiness wherever you can fucking get it at this point.
And where I've been finding it is, I mean, first of all, with my family and spending time with my son and whatnot, but you know, I can't play shows with my band. I can't even make plans with my band at all. You know, and so I have been playing guitar every single day and kind of going, all right, how far can I take this before we're allowed to do shows the old-fashioned way again?
Yeah.
You know,
have you guys considered doing like streaming shows and stuff like that? I've been trying to get a hold of local bands here and just like kind of help promote those shows and try to get the, you know, kind of the music scene going in that way. And there's been a lot of bands doing that, a lot of artists doing that. There's a lot of solo, you know, singer-songwriters that are doing that because it's, you know, kind of an easy platform for them. You know, set up their phone and then live stream a show. But yeah, there's been a lot of bands doing live streaming stuff.
I've experimented with a little bit of it. I've experimented with a little bit of it. The main thing is that Tony lives in Chicago.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Tony lives in Chicago, and he's gonna have a baby any day now.
Oh, okay.
Well, his wife Laura is going to have a baby any day.
He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's going to go in the forest and manifest.
Feel how soft my hands are. No, I mean he's got a baby coming any day now. Okay. So I mean, so that's just not even on the table for us. Like doing live streams, doing anything, doing socially distanced shows, that's not even on the table for us. I think Tony has done 1 or 2 socially distanced shows with his brother out there.
Okay.
Because Tony's family band, the Blind Staggers, who are amazing. Shout out to the Blind Staggers.
They're very good. You should check them out.
They're awesome.
I will.
But they're, they're not even able to do anything because Laura, Tony's wife, who is also their lead singer, she got COVID and has had health problems as a result of that. Also the health problems that come with being pregnant.
Yeah.
And then
was she pregnant and had coronavirus at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Isn't that fucked up?
Jesus Christ, she all right?
Yeah. That's
yeah.
a lot.
I mean, she's okay. I mean, there's, I don't want to talk out of school too much, but she's recovered from it and has, but the baby's fine and coming any day now.
Okay, that's good
And
news. Glad to hear that,
they're
Laura, if you end up
super
listening to this.
excited about it. But to answer your question, it hasn't even been an option for us. Not only that, and I've talked about this on the show a few times. I don't really have any interest. So like Gordo, who is normally our producer on the show and my co-host, his band Granny Tweed has actually done something like 4 or 5 of the socially distanced shows. And the way he's described them to me, I might be interested if Tony lived here. But I'm not. I'm just at this point not really interested in doing the shows with the masks and the tables and the only 80 people allowed, in a 750 capacity venue. And I saw a post from the Oriental Theater today that said that even doing that is not profitable in the slightest.
Yeah.
They're like.
Yeah, no, people are definitely just holding on to it as a means to, continue their projects and continue the venues and try to do that. I mean, Dante's, they're live streaming all of their, their Sunday session stuff. And it's like they're allowing, I think it's like 25 to 30 people to, actually go there, and then they're live streaming the rest of it.
Fat Mike from NoFX did a live stream from his backyard, I want to say, and there was something like 50 people there hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if it was necessarily a live stream, but he did a video where like it was like a live concert, but it was like 50 people in Fat Mike's backyard.
Sure.
And I think that's cool. And there's a part of me that like, so you remember when we were trimming weed and the pandemic first started, and you told me I had to go to the grocery store just to have the experience of the zeitgeist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I hadn't been to the grocery store yet, and you were like, "Oh, dude, you got to check it out." It's
a new world out there. Yeah,
it's part of 2020. It's like you gotta.
Yeah, or like driving on the highway, like right when COVID hit, just driving around, and it's just like there's nobody.
Dude, the highways are the scariest thing of all.
People just
I don't
fucking
know.
maniacs.
I am sorry to go off on a tangent, but that's the nature of this show. I don't know if you guys have this in Portland, but with the decrease in law enforcement presence, there has been an increase in petty crime. And among those petty crimes is people thumbing their nose at traffic laws.
Yeah.
And I drive home from work every Saturday and Sunday night at 11 o'clock midnight, and there are fucking little race car boys in their fucking fast little toy cars just ripping down the highway, zipping in and out of traffic.
Yeah.
And I sound like such a fucking old man saying this, but it's like I find myself going,
scary.
God damn it, where's a fucking cop when you need one? Like, these guys are like endangering lives, man.
No, absolutely, yeah.
It's not cool.
Shit is wild, yeah.
Has that been happening in Portland?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
It's
I think
fucking
also
crazy.
People are just driving crazier just in general.
I
Like
think
it's
so,
not even
too.
it's not even that stereotype of a person. Like I feel like people are just like
I think people are just
don't
fucking
wanna be in cars,
preoccupied or
and
just
it's
like
just
tripped
fucking-
out and fucking like I don't know why. What fucking people are driving weird as fuck, but they are. That's definitely true.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is, under duress, we regress.
Look at that.
You know what
Pop
I mean?
that on a t-shirt.
I think I have that T-shirt. Actually,
That-
it's a headband.
I'm actually building that into my PowerPoint presentation for my for this corporate training I'm going to be doing. I've got a book coming out. When under duress, we regress. Remember that. It's very important to remember. We regress under duress. That's right. I don't know. I think I think that's a big part of it is just like when we're in these type of situations, these less evolved part of ourselves come out.
Yeah.
It's like I see, one of my jobs is to deal with the Yelp and the Google reviews at work.
Yeah.
And I can tell when someone is complaining about something petty just because they want to get some anger out of their body.
Yeah.
Because almost every time I respond to them and go, hey, I wanted to follow up on this. I understand that, we fell short in some way. How can I make it right? They're almost always unbelievably gracious and polite.
Sure.
But they think they're just sending vitriol out into space.
No, that's fucking,
right.
That's what,
Absolutely.
because also that's like people's, or a lot of people, that's like their lifeline, fucking, a lot of people aren't getting the normal one-on-one kind of, in-person interaction that you have become accustomed to living life on the planet Earth. And so this impersonalized increase in communication makes people into assholes. Fucking, like, you just see people just, like, I don't know, for example, like, speaking of everything being so fucking politicized, I follow on Facebook, a group called Denver Fugly. It's ugly houses in Denver,
I
right?
know the guy who started Denver Fugly.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Anyways, a picture of a big black house, and the caption says, "This is Darth Vader if Darth Vader was a house," right? Perfectly innocuous fucking thing to put out there in the world. And some person ended up responding, some guy responded to it with just fuck you, I know the fucking people that live in that house. You're probably fucking poor. You're probably a fucking Democrat. That makes you you're a fucking piece of shit who's on the fucking left, you fucking, I don't know, basically, you fucking pussy. And it's like, man, that was.
Did he call him a cuck?
More or less, actually, he might literally have done that. But it's like, dude, it's a picture of a fucking house. This isn't a fucking political conversation. You don't need to be a dickhead. It's a joke about a house that looks like Darth Vader. I don't know what the fuck. How did you
at the same time, I know this page that you were speaking of. I have known Brad Evans for many years. I love Brad Evans. I consider him to be a friend. But that page is just all about throwing shade on people.
For sure. Yeah.
It's and I have seen it politicized the other way on that page as well. To me, it's like, okay, let's talk about the Denver Fugly thing. Just not even just that page. Let's just talk about the phenomenon of the weird modern architecture that has invaded Denver.
Yeah.
Okay. In some cases, I'm not a gigantic fan of it. My aunt lives in one of those kind of more modern places. My uncle had the property scraped and built a new house and whatnot. I'm sure my aunt's house has been on Denver Fugly.
Sure.
At the same time, the classic houses that were the classic Victorians that we're bemoaning being torn down were once the height of modern architecture.
Oh, yeah.
They were once the new thing. And, things get old and so we attribute this nostalgia to them and this prestige to them. And I personally feel like the amount of vitriol for the new wave of modern architecture in Denver is a little silly. I think it's a little silly.
I think that
I think it's funny, but I think it's a little silly.
I think the element of it that is that it is just such a blatantly visible embodiment of gentrification is that's the part where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pissed off at that, But just as an aesthetic preference, there are bigger battles.
Well, and that's the other thing too is I think that the public is largely underinformed and misinformed about the big picture of gentrification.
Sure.
So there are many who would suggest that there are trade-offs when it comes to gentrification. And there are people who, obviously no one wants to be run out of their home, run out of their neighborhood, but people also don't want to live with drug dealers and violent
I want to live with
violent
drug
criminals
dealers.
on their corner. Like, it's like you look at New York in the 70s and 80s before Giuliani came in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's often looked back on with, like, these rose-tinted glasses of, like, the Lower East Side used to be gritty, man.
Yeah.
It used to be, it used to be gritty. And then, like, it's like when you drill down and begin to define that grit, it's like, what do you mean gritty? It's like, oh, I know a person who was stabbed,
say, you
or
got
I know a
stabbed,
person
like
who
fucking-
got robbed. You know what I mean? So there are like within that discussion, like that is a much broader, more complicated thing, and I think it's just become one of those words that is used pejoratively, and oftentimes inaccurately and unfairly. Now that's just an observation that I've made. And it's, or I shouldn't even say it's an observation that I've made. It's an idea that has come to me through listening to people who are much smarter than me and know a lot about it. And I used to be, kind of one of the same people that's sitting there going, fucking white people coming in and ruining everything.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole story.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely nuance there that doesn't get encapsulated in just fucking, it is a product of gentrification and that is simply bad. Like, I don't know, fucking, I don't know. It's a complex issue.
Most anything important is a complex issue. That's the thing. Most anything important can't be sloganized.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's what I say about myself.
Loganized, though.
That you can't be sloganized? Do you have that T-shirt, too? The I can't be sloganized T-shirt?
I can't be sloganized. You can't sloganize me.
No, I don't know. And I also see that as being part of, maybe it's just because I'm getting older. Maybe it's because I'm a parent now. I don't know what it is. But I am not as interested in righteous indignation and meanness anymore.
Sucks.
I am turned off. Like, I love a really, really smart stand-up comedian. But there's this thing, and all comedy is criticism, which I think is very important. I think it's important for all comedy to be critical and to give and I don't think anyone is off the table when it comes to comedy, and I don't think anything is off the table as long as it's funny.
Sure.
Right? But I've also seen that there's like this. We had Matt Kobos on the show many episodes ago, and it was when Garth Brooks was in town. And I was talking about how I didn't like that so many people were talking shit about the Garth Brooks show and making inaccurate attributions to him. And I've heard some insistences that like someone I knew made a joke that like referred to the Garth Brooks concert as the KKK rally going on down the street. And it's like, man, that's an awful thing to say.
I thought it was actually like hella inclusive. Didn't he like fucking make a big stink about how he likes gay people?
Right.
Like
But then even after that, there was another article that came out in, and we were talking about this article that came out in the Westward about it, where even that was politicized. Garth Brooks, who...
Was that the Kyle Harris article
that
you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, by all accounts, Garth Brooks is this sweetheart of a guy and, like,
I always kind of
mega
he had a
humanitarian.
reputation for, like, being a nice guy.
Yeah, he has a reputation.
Kind of weird, maybe,
And he has, especially within country music, he kind of has this reputation for just being this, like, real sweetheart of a guy, you know?
I mean, you make something like Chris Gaines.
Yeah.
Well,
I know. But we were talking on the episode, and then Matt Kobos kind of pushed back against me on this, and he made a fair point. And he said, but man, isn't talking shit fun? And it's like, And I've thought about that from time to time, that conversation that we had. And the truth is that, yes, talking shit is fun. I enjoy talking shit.
If you are anywhere adjacent to a punk rock person, talking shit is often going to be a fundamental element of either your personality or how you ended up kind of coming up. You know?
I think where it gets gross is at scale. You know, I mean, obviously, I love a good shit-talking meme, man. I love a good meme. I love a good joke. I love a good burn. You know, but there's this thing that happens when you put shit talking at scale that some people are really bad at it. And the only thing they have is the fact that they are talking shit, not that they're talking shit well.
Sure.
So they're throwing stones and they're making criticisms. And
again, we got a president out of it, you know.
Right. Well, but it's like having, you know, if all comedy is criticism, then all that matters is that it's funny. You know, there's a lot of people who are talking shit, and it's just not funny. You know what I mean? They're just talking shit to talk shit.
And they're just not good at it. I mean, you're just making, you know, you're just saying, you know, if you're good at something, it's way more interesting than if you're bad at something. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, and there's something about talking shit, but talking shit about something in such a way that even the subject of your ire could laugh at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the like not punching down thing. Fucking, you know, like.
Well, even that, the insistence of I've been thinking about that too. The idea of punching down, like the idea that punching down is a thing assumes that there are people who are subordinate to one another. It's this like postmodern critique of like structures of power. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I see you as my equal, then I'm going to punch across. But if there's an insistence that individuals from certain groups, you know, and you can pick a group out of a hat, whatever group it may be. You know, whatever group is popping into your head as we're sitting here talking about it. It could be any group. If you're talking about that group and you make a joke and it's insisted that you're punching down at that group, that implies that you are inherently above them and that there's nothing that can be done about it. And I think that is no way to run a society. And I think that is no way to look at your fellow man. You know, I don't see as me punching down on anyone. You know, maybe if I was on the playground and I punched a kid in the head when he ran by me, you know, that's a little kid.
That would be literally
punching down.
But
you know,
that's
and
okay if you're good at it. That's
if you're good at punching kids and you can do it. Hey, also, and there have been a few people on the internet who have like put out videos of them like beating up kids, and it's pretty funny. You know?
I punched a child one time.
To talk about looking at both sides, I can't see Jake at all. I don't think anybody can.
Nobody.
Can you see him now?
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, he's peeking in.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I can tell you that everybody watching can see all of us. You just unfortunately only have the
video.
Oh yeah, there's like
whatever the microphone is
basically.
For visuals.
Whatever the microphone is for visuals, the cameras. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have cameras set up in here in the studio, and
cool.
You're just unfortunately.
So you're saying it's not all about me.
Yeah. So can you see us now?
I can see you both now.
Okay.
Great.
So, I mean, I've been thinking about the punching down thing because I also had Ben Hutcherson from Chemists on here one time. And we got into a discussion about comedy and about, you know, my criticisms of how identity politics kind of sucks the fun out of society and keeps us from being able to have conversations as equals. And I do feel like we live in a society that obsesses over identity. You know,
yeah.
I think that it is
what American life is, you know.
Well, and I just think it's unhelpful. You know, I don't care what group you are in. I don't see you as being my subordinate.
Sure.
I don't see you as being lower than me. I don't see you as being someone that I'm that I am in a position to pick on.
You know, I just think it's about being smart, you know? I mean, like, fucking being good at something, you know? Like, fucking, I agree with that perspective, obviously. Fucking, you know, like I was just saying earlier, like, in any engagement with a person, the idea is fucking we're both people. We're fucking doing people shit, you know? They're definitely, like, within stand-up comedy, there are plenty, like, I don't know, fucking looking at some shit from the 80s. Andrew Dice Clay talking about Asian people or something like that. That is... You know, it's just like fucking, just off color. Like ultimately, I mean, because an off color joke is a thing that definitely exists. You know,
right?
I don't know. You know, you just like fucking.
It's also like with someone like Andrew W.
Dick, you know,
well, like with someone like Andrew. I almost said Andrew WK.
Yeah.
I just imagined Andrew WK just doing Andrew Dice Clay jokes. Somebody make that happen.
Solid.
I was just, but like you look at like old Eddie Murphy stand up, or you look at Red Fox. I mean, Red Fox is pretty blue, you know.
Sure, yeah.
You look at Andrew Dice Clay and something like that, and it was just a different era of comedy, you know.
I mean, it was a different time in culture,
and
the world has changed a lot since then.
You look at even all the way back to like Lenny Bruce, you know what I mean. If we look at those things now, first of all, even the things that aren't off color. Even the things that aren't controversial now by normal standards, almost none of it is funny because we're looking back at it through the lens of the year 2020 and not at the time. Sure. You know, we have the advantage of being able to stand out here in the future and look back at them, knowing what we know now that they did not know, with something of an air of moral superiority. You know what I mean? And now we're living in an age where you can look at someone who knows less than you did a day ago with an air of moral superiority.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And it is definitely easy to fucking take things out of context in the modern world, you know.
Well, you can look at comedians like Dave Chappelle, for example. Dave Chappelle's gotten a lot of shit over recent years over some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people that I know say things about him that are frankly untrue.
Sure.
You know, he's been called every dirty name you can be called by people without a single funny bone in their body. And at the end of the day, it comes down to who's funny. Because I'll tell you what, if you put the most politically correct comedian on the stage next to Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle is going to smoke them.
I mean, he's a fucking genius performer, ultimately. Like, fucking, I mean...
Well, and political commentator.
Yeah, yeah.
Or not political, social commentator is what I meant to say.
Yeah. I don't know, like, you know, okay, people were mad about that fucking trans joke that he made in that special, was like 2 years ago or something like that.
Well,
and like
some people are mad about it. The people who are mad enough to write letters and post on Twitter about it. But there's a ton of people who, from a variety of different communities, that are not offended by it.
Yeah.
That find it funny, but nobody is retweeting their Twitter feed.
Well, I mean, it's, again, fucking negativity sells, you
right.
know?
It trends.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I remember watching that and being like, yeah, I don't really like that. Fucking, I didn't think it was a particularly funny joke, and I was like, it's kind of in poor taste, that joke. That doesn't mean that I'm, like, fucking, I'm not canceling fucking Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is, again, the guy's a fucking genius, like, but, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, it's important to, you know, be critical and distinguishing with what you do and you do not like about an artist, and how that affects you as a person, how that kind of shapes your fucking worldview to a certain extent, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible to occupy both the, like, that was not a joke that I fucking enjoyed, I think that was a shitty thing for him to have said, with fucking Dave Chappelle, the genius performer. Like, those two things can kind of exist in the same fucking headspace, ultimately.
And that's the thing. I think that people you don't need to be so polarized. You can have, you know, conflicting thoughts, or, like, you know, you can, things aren't so black and white. You don't have to be so a part of one team and believe everything that team believes. And I think that's ultimately what we're talking about, and what we're boiling down is, like, you know, don't be overly sensitive, and, you know, like, have your own thoughts about things and explore like actually how you personally feel about them, and
and also have a heart
system,
Yeah,
like,
and
definitely.
also have a heart.
Definitely.
yeah, and just care about people, and beat up little kids, like.
Okay, for real. Hold on. Just to clarify,
So
because I mentioned that I punched a child one time.
All right, welcome back to the canceling of Jake Fairly. Today we're going to talk about the time that Jake Fairly punched a child.
Here's what happened. I was also a child. Well, I was like probably 13 or 14, and this kid was like, it's like a little kid. He was like 6 or 7 years old.
So it's like easy.
I was in the wave pool at fucking Waterworld, and this little shit. First of all, I was just like trying desperately not to drown, so I'm already like fucking getting action parked out over here.
So that
and this
reduces
little kid,
you by like 5 years.
Say what?
That reduces you by 5 years, so it's like a closer age.
That I was dying in a wave pool? Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Yeah,
when we're under duress, we regress.
Yes, I murdered that child, but I was drowning, so we were basically the same age.
No, this little kid kept swimming up to me and trying to pull my pants down, like to be a dickhead to me. He was just like fucking with me, you know?
Yeah.
And he did it like
Just being a little bastard.
like a lot of fucking time, like I don't know, 15 times or something like that. And I kept just being like, "Hey, stop doing this. Hey, stop doing this. Hey, stop doing this. Hey, stop doing this." And finally, I just told him, I was like, "Dude, if you don't stop doing this, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the fucking head," you know. And I got out of the pool. This is just not what I should be saying out loud right now. I was just about to get out of the pool. I was like standing like probably knee high in the water. And I fucking feel this tug at my back of my shorts, and I turn around, and he's just grinning. He's looking up and grinning at me like, ha ha ha, what are you gonna fucking do? I'm a kid. And I punched him in the fucking top of the head. And
I think that's excusable.
I told him, I was like, dude, if you don't stop trying to pull my pants down, I'm gonna fucking punch you.
I also think that kids get away with a lot because there are laws to protect them. But okay.
And I don't think those laws.
I mean, he's fine. He survived. The last thing that I saw him do. I mean, I was, it's funny. I
don't think those laws should exist. Macy says.
Anyway, I hit him like, if you're watching this video, I like hit him like that with my hand.
Dude, okay.
And then I immediately realized, I was like, oh shit, I probably should have done that. And I just like, I'm booking it, and I like turn around. The last thing I look is he's just like laying down, just like screaming. And I was like, I was all bad. I should not have done that. And now I probably shouldn't have said that.
Well, he was probably also hamming it up because he knew that he could. Kids are pretty resilient, man.
I mean, I'm sure he was fine. I didn't like hit him really hard or anything. I was just trying to get him to stop pulling my fucking pants down.
Into the pool
I didn't. He's alive. That kid is, well, assuming that.
Hey, man.
This was about,
you know what?
This was a long time ago.
If you're a
20
bastard.
Hey, kid, if you're a listener out there, please write us at MF Ruckus Podcast.
Yeah, and hey, join us on Patreon.
Solid, nice plug.
Thanks, man.
You know what? That kid that was probably a valuable lesson that child.
Dude, if you're a bastard, it's just if you hadn't done it, somebody else would.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time. That kid would have gotten older and gotten to be 13 years old and would have messed with the wrong guy and gotten his teeth knocked out. Maybe he wasn't such a bastard after that.
So punching the child actually made that child's life better.
So That's
what I'm arguing.
We go to this playground by my house, and I live in a very cool area of town. I really like where I live. Because I live on the border of Denver and Aurora. So it's very culturally diverse, and there's all kinds of different people from all different economic backgrounds and all different nationalities and ethnicities, and it's really fascinating to be in. It's like I couldn't live in a better part of town. Like I really do love it. And but one of the things one of the downsides of one of the downsides of where I live is that the playground that we go to is a mix of a lot of real little kids and then fucking teenagers, man. Like because there's a lot of families where we're at. I guess is the point that I was making is there's a lot of families, from all over. Lots and lots of families. Lots of people. It's kind of the new burbs right now.
Sure.
And so if I take my son at the wrong time of day, there's a lot of little bastards with nothing to do but take up the park. And there was this little bastard at the playground.
Just look in your eye right there.
And
little bastard.
He's got his toys scattered all over, and he's like kind of bullying other kids, and he's like blocking up the slide, like we're trying to go down the slide, and he's sitting on it, and Sarah goes, hey, why don't you get out of the way so some other people can go down the slide? And he's just like, they can go around. Like he's one of these like little snotty.
He's a little dickhead.
Yeah, he's a little dickhead. He's a little dickhead. And he had a basketball, okay? And the basketball was laying in the middle of the ground, and Ransom went over. My little cute 18-month-old son just walks over. He's curious about the ball. He goes, ball! And he picks it up, and he's looking at it. And this kid, who is probably 11 years old, walks over to him. And Sarah and I are watching this happen, and we kind of have this rule that we don't really intervene. Because we want him to learn to solve his own problems. Like, if someone was hurting him, absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
But, like, if he gets into a tussle with another little kid, you know, we just, you know, we won't let him hurt each other, but we're not going to pull him away and shame him and yell at him and be like, sharing is caring and all that shit. Like, we're not going to do that. He's 18 months old. He's a little human figuring his shit out.
He's ready to take a trip to Vegas, dude.
Yeah,
he's ready to rage.
He needs to do his own conflict resolution, you know, as early on as possible.
Yeah.
So we watch this kid, like, Ransom picks up the basketball, and we're kind of used to when kids just drop stuff on the playground, other kids pick them up. Kids play with Ransom's toys. He plays with other kids' toys. This kid goes up to our 18-month-old son, rips the basketball out of his hand, and then flexes on him. Like,
what are you gonna beat up a baby? What is this, the wave pool?
And it goes like
flexing on a little kid.
Dude, he does like the fake like
real definition of weird flex, bro.
And he goes, it's mine. To this fucking 18-year-old, and Sarah and I are like, hey, man.
This kid's going to be an asshole as an adult, too.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But then, like, so we're sitting and we're watching that go down, and Sarah and I are talking to him, and I'm starting to get dad rage, and Sarah's starting to get mama bear rage,
it's a special kind of rage.
And we're like, I fucking hate this little kid. What the fuck is this little bastard's problem? Blah, blah, blah. Then a little time goes by, and I realize that he is the oldest of, like, 5 kids. And,
in his family or at the park?
No, he's the oldest of 5 kids in his family, and all the kids are there together at the family. And I'm sure that he is having to deal with the fact that he's constantly having to share everything with the kids in his household. I'm sure that his parents treat him differently than they treat the other kids, you know, because they're younger and he's older, and he's probably a fucking asswipe at school, and people probably treat him like an asswipe at school. So the idea of bullying an 18-month-old doesn't seem like a big deal to him because, you know, the world's dealt him a shit sandwich. Why shouldn't everybody else get a bite of it too?
Yeah. You know, that's the empathy that we were talking about. Way to prioritize empathy over dad rage, because.
Well, I'm saying, I was able to do that.
I still punched him, but.
So then I walked over and punched him in front of his parents.
I punted a child.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you don't get your fucking kids under control, I'm going to punch all of them like I just punched that little fucking bastard. No, I didn't punch him.
That little kid that's laid out over there.
Yeah. See that? That's yours.
That's what I
got 4 kids left now. We lost one at the park, honey. No, but that kid is going to eventually run into someone who is not going to be so empathetic and is going to punch him in the fucking head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I certainly have experienced some pushback from the world. Some of it deserved, some of it not. But that's part of what these goddamn kids need today. You know, is no one's punching him in the head anymore, and they just think they can go on their Snapchats and their Instagrams and their hickory-dickory-docks and say whatever the hell they want.
Isn't the saying, you know, like, if a kid is going to touch the flame, you just, like, watch him burn?
Yeah.
Is that in Game of Thrones?
Is that a Game of Thrones? Well, what I'm saying is we live in a time that even me calling a little kid a bastard would probably be considered a microaggression. Actually, that would probably be considered a macroaggression. I think probably if
that's just aggression.
I think probably if I rolled my eyes at him, that would be considered a microaggression. Or if I turned to my wife and said, or some people's children, that would probably be a microaggression by today's standards.
Depending on how it was shot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking the other day, Macy, totally unrelated. When I was living in California, I was talking to you on the phone, and you said to me that you had watched the movie Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves, right?
Uh-huh.
And you phrased it as, man, if you can get your hands on a copy of that, you should check that out. Like it was difficult to be able to procure a
like
copy
it was a
of the
particularly
movie.
rare film.
Like it was like, yeah, dude, if you can find it, if you have an opportunity to get your hands on that thing, dude,
it's
you
like
should
trying
really
to get a
check
copy
it
of
out.
The Best of the State.
I think about that almost every day. It's one of the funnier things I think I've heard you say.
If you can get your hands on that movie. It's a very rare film.
Do you remember? I was listening to I did a Towns last night with Tom.
Oh,
Macy and
man.
I used to get drunk in my apartment, turn all the lights off, and just put our faces next to the stereo and listen to Towns Van Zandt for like a long time.
For a
Just
long
get
time, like maybe 4 to
emotional.
5 hours, and
fun.
with tear factories like in between.
Have you guys
drugs
seen?
and alcohol are fucking fun sometimes.
Dude, I
yeah.
love Towns. Have you
Yeah,
guys seen the Blaze Foley biopic?
No, I
yet?
really I heard it was good. I wanted to see it.
It's good. It's good. I think.
It's a biopic. It's not a documentary.
No, I thought it was a documentary,
Okay,
but it's a biopic, and I mean, I had mixed feelings on it. I'm a big Blaze fan, and I think they portrayed him as in this very art house lens, and I think it kind of left out what a real kind of redneck drunken maniac he was.
He's definitely pretty fucking rough around the edges.
Yeah, he was super rough around the and
Yeah.
I mean they definitely portrayed the character as being, you know, off his hinges, off the hinges a little bit, or unhinged a little bit. That's the word I was looking for. But I don't know, it didn't I mean every time there's a biopic, people are going to debate about the authenticity of the portrayal of the character and whatnot. But the whole thing is presented as being told by Towns Van Zandt in an interview.
Interesting.
Like Towns Van Zandt and Z, the guy who's the harmonica player for Blaze Foley, and like his best friend, are like doing a radio interview because this guy has now gone on and become Towns's harmonica player, and they were all really good friends. And there's a lot of stories about Towns and Blaze getting into stuff, but the guy who played Towns Van Zandt was really good.
Okay, I was actually. Do you know who is it?
I can't remember the actor's name,
okay.
but he was really good, and it really got me on this, like, you know, that sad bastard alt country stuff of that era is just like, I don't know, is that like 70s and 80s, like kind of. There's this line in it. It's like Towns, why are your songs so sad? He's like, I don't know if they're sad. Hopeless maybe, but I don't know if I would call them sad. And I'm like, yeah, hopeless is definitely the word you could use to describe most.
About it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little late to the Towns Van Zandt game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you have to, like, I mean, I have definitely had sadness in my life, but I feel like you definitely have to, like, experience some real, like,
You have to have been around the block a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was when I first came across Towns when I was younger, I was like, this kind of whiny, yodely stuff. Like, I always loved John Prine. Like, I've always loved John Prine. But there was something just like Towns never spoke to me. Like, I didn't get it. And now that I'm older, like, Towns Van Zandt definitely speaks to me a lot more.
I remember when I first got into him, I was, 20 or something. I was in college. I was like really interested in blues and fucking just sad music shit, right? Fucking country and fucking folk, yada yada. But like, I was actively pursuing like, what's the saddest fucking music I can possibly listen to. That's what I want to hear. And I remember finding Townes Van Zandt and being like, oh, dude, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And
Like,
I brought it up with a good friend of mine from college. And he was like, oh, yeah, I've known about Townes Van Zandt for years. I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you not? You knew about this whole time? You knew I was looking for the sad shit, dude. Why didn't you fucking tell me this was out here? I could have had like 3 more years of this already. Like,
Right.
But yes, I love Townes Van Zandt very much.
So I don't know a tremendous amount about your shared history, like your friendship. Like,
Macy,
how long have you two known each other?
We actually, I mean, because we home dogged down on a Jan 1, dude. That's like our. That was our
what year was that
friendversary.
Jan 1?
I think that was 2013.
2013.
I want to say,
Dang.
yeah.
On
That's a
January 1st, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Home
there's
dogged hard on the Jam 1. What?
We have a fake holiday called Jan 1 that is not New Year's Day, where you just get drunk all day, you know? That's what a Jan 1 means. You get hammered all day long on New Year's Day.
Yep.
And yeah, Evan got fired from his job that day. He was working at or what was that, fucking Proto's Pizza?
Yeah.
We played Settlers of Catan and we got very drunk, but yeah, do you remember that when how Evan got fired that day? He was just really, really drunk, and he probably shouldn't have gone to work. And I remember I was driving with Kelly.
NBD.
Yeah,
Or
he kept
NBG.
NBG. He kept trying to say NBD, no big deal, but just kept saying. We were driving in the car on the way to his job, and he's just like in the back seat, intermittently going to sleep, and then waking up and going, woo, woo. It's like, work is MBG, baby, work is MBG, woo. And then he would just be asleep, and then he would same thing. And then I remember fucking watching him walk into the restaurant, and like, I already know, like, we're not even gonna get home. Like, that dude is definitely getting fired right now. Like, and sure enough, we were like just pulling off the highway back to the house. We get a phone call like, yep, gotta go pick up Evan from the fucking Proto's Pizza place. You know, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking Macy and I we've been tight for a long time.
7 years strong. Yeah.
So strong.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I moved to Denver. Did I meet you when I was in freshman in high school? Later on.
Yeah, but we didn't because when all the Fiction is Fun shit, we weren't really good friends while all that was happening, or while I was in that band.
Yeah, because I moved to Denver when I was in 8th grade.
Okay. Didn't you play some shows with us at one point? I was in a folk band called Fiction is Fun.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. It was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah, he was in a
didn't you
folk
play
pop
violin
band,
really
old
shittily
Jake
or something one time?
Didn't you play violin really shittily?
I recall a really shitty violin performance at fucking at the other side, Svante's other side.
What's that music venue? It's got a restaurant in it, and people do like poetry slams there and stuff.
You mean
the Mercury Cafe?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's where I played with you guys.
Uh-huh.
I think, or it was Cervantes maybe.
Cervantes' other side. That's what I'm remembering.
Okay.
But I think you might have played a couple shitty shows with us. We played a lot of shitty shows.
I mean, let's be honest. Most shows are shitty.
Yeah. We just were like.
To put it this way, I had owned a violin for 2.5 months, and they let me play violin with them.
That is the kind of band that Fiction is Fun. I mean, we eventually became reasonably good, but the first 2 years of that band, it was just like some fucking snotty punk rock teenagers and me and Fred, I guess, and Caleb, who didn't know how the fuck to play folk instruments at all, but folk punk was like some hip ass shit at that point, and Connor tried his best.
So were you guys part of that wave of when all the crusty train hopping ass flap kids became folk musicians?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I what I will say in my defense, I've never been all that fond of Devil Makes 3. I don't hate them, but especially after having played in that band for as long as I do, I don't ever want to hear that kind of music again. But I just drank my way into that band. I just had a lot of friends that were in the band, and they said, "Hey, you want to play guitar?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have I didn't have a band at the time." And I was like, "Yes, do you guys play shows?" Like, "Yeah, I want to do that for sure."
Lots of kids with overalls and face tattoos and banjos and scratchy voices singing about trains.
Yeah, and
we were
Tom
definitely
Waits, finger,
there.
Knuckle tattoos and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted to make
and
it say knuckle tats.
Glorifying life-ending alcoholism.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
That was a thing.
I've seen a lot of people. Dude, I saw a Hard Times article today that just like, God, the Hard Times just nails
They
it
can be
so
very,
hard.
very funny. Yeah.
And it was like, what did it say? It said 40-year-old man's entire identity based around what ought to have been a brief 2-year stint in his 20s or in high school or something like that. It was something like you see these like some people, they just get stuck in a phase, like they just really commit to the phase, you know what they mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they go through a period of time where it's just like romanticizing and glorifying like the self-destructive, lonesome cowboy archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely was guilty of it. Like,
oh, I have been that. In my early 20s, I was an idiot,
right,
for sure. I'm an idiot now, but
like
you know.
the sad, like the sad, lonely pirate cowboy poet. You know what I mean?
With some Bukowski in there. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting character because it's like, I mean, life's pretty hard.
It's not my favorite.
I mean, it's my favorite out of the two things, being alive and being not alive.
I don't know. We'll find out sometime.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'll try the option out. You know?
Or you won't.
Or I won't. Who knows? I
I had
could be one of the 1 in 5
a
that
friend
just
who
lives
shall
on.
not be named and I were having a conversation once, and he was talking about like how he's gonna find the truth when he dies and blah blah blah. And I'm like, or. You might not. It's like, you might not be no, I know I will. I'm just like, but how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just throwing questions out there. How do you know? I was like, do you remember being born? Do you remember being in the womb? Do you remember coming into existence? Okay, if you don't remember coming into existence, doesn't it stand to reason that you would not remember going out of existence either?
That to me makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's a scary thing to think about, especially the fact that our brain is not even able to like conceive of such a thing.
Yeah.
Just like non-existence.
The thing that's like not scary about it is just like, oh no, there's nothing to worry about. You know?
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
it won't
it's
even be
terrifying that there will be nothing, but like ultimately,
even trying to imagine nothing is like you can't imagine nothing. When you try to imagine nothing, you imagine like a black screen, right?
Yeah.
You
literally that. I'm sure
you
it's
imagine
literally what it
nothingness and kind of sitting there and observing nothingness, but I mean, nothingness is like you would observe nothing.
Yeah.
So
nothingness is still a thing.
For the time being.
To bring up being drunk in my 20s, this reminds me of all my like existential drunken.
Oh, Macy. Okay, when Macy. So before you and I became real close friends, you were one of the most annoying people I had ever known. Fucking just like this dude that won't shut the fuck up about Sart.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm like trying to finger bang somebody or something like that. You're fucking wasted falling into a fucking pool.
Tell me about that. What's up with that?
What's up with what?
About your
really
Sart
into
phase.
Existentialism.
Oh, you were really into.
Yeah, so I went through a super bad depression for a good 2.5 years in high school. Crippling, like horrible. And yeah, existentialism was the thing that got me out of it. I mean, you know, it was just like the thing that was like, oh shit, cool, I don't have to give a fuck, you know, like,
right.
Oh, you know, whatever, be sad, it's all good. Like,
well, I mean,
it doesn't matter either way.
we also want to show the world who we are, and we want to figure out who we are, and then we want to figure out a way to present that to the world. And so we create these avatars, and we get interested in the we become attracted to these philosophies, or we become attracted to these modes of personality and things like that, and without really considering the usefulness and utility of it. Like when someone adopts the mode of personality of the sad, lonesome cowboy, poet, pirate archetype, and I'm saying that, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about.
You know exactly the type of person I'm talking about, like getting little runes or you know, railroad shorthands, or just like little Lucky Charms shapes on your face, and just like drinking Lysol and like
overalls.
Overalls and playing a violin badly. Like that all comes from an
Being
idea.
able to play a singing saw,
Yeah.
Like, which is cool. I'm not trying to shit talk.
Like
playing a sing saw.
In a very similar way, like Macy, I got really into philosophy when I was younger, and I mean I'm still into philosophy now, but got really into like alternative film and kind of subversive film and things like that. Like I became this huge fan of Terry Gilliam. Like when I saw Brazil, it like blew my mind.
I love Terry Gilliam.
Yeah,
Opened my eyes.
Did you watch the fucking Man Who Killed Don Quixote? Is that what it's called?
Oh no, you're thinking of
No, it's Terry Gilliam.
You're thinking of Baron Munchausen?
No, I love that movie. It's his most recent one. It's the
I haven't
Lost
seen
in
it.
La Mancha. Did you ever watch that? He tried to make the movie is called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. He tried to make it in like I want to say 2000 something like that, late 90s, early 2000s. And there was a documentary film crew that they were intending to just document the making of the movie, but it was like the production got flooded and all their equipment got fucking broken, and like the guy was playing Don Quixote ended up getting cancer. Basically, it's like a master class in how to fucking ruin the production of your film.
Right.
And he didn't end up making the movie until he did. It's not good. It's a bummer.
Not good?
Yeah. He should have just left it unmade.
No.
Plus, I feel like he's gonna die now.
Yeah.
And he also said all those shitty things about fucking African styles or something like that. God, Terry Gilliam, don't fuck this up for us at the end, all right? Like, stop saying stupid shit. I like your fucking movies. Just if you're gonna die, just do that or shut the fuck up.
Hey guys, I'm really sad to have to do this, but we're coming up on 2 hours, and I gotta go.
2 hours?
Yeah, we've been going for 2 hours, man. It's a time. It's a time warp. Yeah. When you actually come, dude, I did an episode. The last episode we did with Alan Brooks, I want to say was like a 3-hour episode.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And we did. I did 4 hours with Justin Lassell from Max Slasher. The first time I had him on the show. It's a time vortex. We go crazy long on these. But I'd love to do it again. And Macy, when you come to town, I would really love to actually have you in the room. I'm sorry the trip didn't work out this time.
Yeah, man.
It's okay, man. I got smoked out. The fires.
Yeah. I mostly wanted to get you on because this is a great opportunity for me to catch up with people I've been thinking about. And like I said, all my friends in Portland, like, I fucking ache for you guys. And now has been a more important time than ever to connect. And also we were talking earlier about being alive versus the not existing thing and preferring one of the two. And that seems like a perfect time to segue into, I really wish that Groovy Newville existed still.
Alive, yeah.
I was very sad to get that news.
I hate finding out that people that you're friends with died on Facebook.
Right.
It's just not a fucking fun way.
Right.
Like, picture Groovy said, what? Is he dead? What the fuck?
Bobby Lee Black tried to call me at work to tell me, and I was supposed to have Groovy on the show.
Oh yeah.
And he told me, this was a few months ago. This was probably at the beginning of the summer. He told me that he really wasn't in any shape to do a podcast.
Oh.
He said he was having a hard time.
Oh.
And I don't know anything as to the cause of his death.
Yeah, I don't either, actually.
But I can say that I think that what everyone is going through right now is probably toughening us up a bit, but also definitely shortening our lives.
Yeah.
If it's not the stress or the toxins and the smoke from the fires or, any of the number of things you can name, I just... I mean, obviously life expectancy has gotten greater, but it is, it's definitely taken a toll on the old ticker. And I think the world put a hurting on him this year. And I had two kind of thoughts in a row, which is immediately when I found that out, I felt this like profound sadness because I really did adore.
I really fucking
Groovy.
love that guy. I mean, it's just so fucking sad, dude. But yeah.
And the second thought was we're fucked.
Yeah.
Because Groovy was the publicist for the underdog.
Yeah.
And he represented people that no one else would represent.
Mm-hmm.
And
he helped me so fucking much.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, he helped us.
In comics and in music.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He helped us. He helped Bobby Lee Black get the movie made. He helped so much with Dink and like I found out just all these people that like he had worked with and helped out, and I was just like, man, we just lost not only a great human being, but one of the greatest assets we had as independents.
Like, that's a massive fucking blow to independent artists living in Denver. Like, yeah.
I mean, really, it's like if you opened a restaurant and like one of your head chefs left.
Yeah.
It's like we almost have to rebrand and restructure.
No, 100%. Because I had like a ton of plans with him for the end of this year.
So did we.
Yeah.
So did we. So I want to just take a moment to give a shout out to our friend and publicist to the non-stars, Groovy Newville.
Yeah.
We miss you, buddy. We loved you very much.
Yeah.
I also want to take a moment to give a shout out. Let me get on. Is this the camera that I want, or is it the other camera?
It's that one.
I want this camera. I would like to bring to the audience's attention. God,
something that is not in the light.
This sucks. All right, hold on. Let me. This is the new album by our friend Jason Gordon, a.k.a. Gordo, a.k.a. Gordon Leadfoot. The album is called The Burning Embers of Reason. It's his Gordon Leadfoot solo album. And this album is brilliant. And I listened to it on my way in today. And, man, it is really just a fantastic record. And I'm not saying that because it's my friend. I listened to it and I was actually deeply disturbed by the fact that he is such a brilliant songwriter and musician, and yet he still languishes in obscurity with so many of the brilliantly talented people that are out there in the world. This is a fantastic record. It's currently available for sale on CD at gordophonicrecords.com or gordonleadfoot.com and gordophonicrecords.com. And it will be available on streaming services coming up here on Halloween. Also, I want to give Macy an opportunity here. If you want, bud, plug some stuff that you're working on. Tell people where they can find you, where they can see your art, and what you're working on.
If anybody sees this, I am trying to get a part of bands and do live projection mapping and live visuals for bands. That's kind of what
they're very cool.
Trying to focus on.
Those are on your Twitter, right, or on your Instagram?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Instagram MAESAE Dev DEV, and you can follow me like there. Find all my art, find all my projection mapping, all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, if any bands, in the Portland area want to work with me, that'd be great. I do all my, all the animations for the projections I make, so you
his
get,
projection mapping stuff is really super cool.
It's very cool.
It's cool. And we can do all sorts of, 3D projection mappings and mappings at different levels and stuff like that. So it's all been really cool. So yeah.
Also check out the Front Lines of Good Times Chapter 2.
And then that music video is going to be so good.
The Acropolis Now music video is going to be so good.
I'm very excited for it.
We've been sharing that with our patrons, all the clips you've been sending me, and some of them we've been posting to Instagram, but our patrons have been checking those out. Real quick, let's give a shout out to our patrons. We love you guys. I'm in the process of a big art giveaway. Where I'm giving away stuff from. Oh, you forgot the art pieces.
That, yeah. Okay.
Well, it's okay. They have plenty of art to get them by. I've been giving away a bunch of Josh Finley stuff from the first comic, and a bunch of the original drawings that Jay Partylord did for us. I've just been giving them out to our patrons because we give them everything, and we keep very little for ourselves because we just want to give shit to the people who actually give a shit. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do, support the band, support the podcast, support Macy and Jake and all the creators we work with, go to patreon.com.
Definitely support me.
Yeah.
Yeah, support me, please.
Yeah.
You can hire me to do some illustrations.
Can I sleep on your couch?
Go to patreon.com/MFRuckus. And Jake, what are you working on, my man?
Well, we are just about to finish cutting a record. I'm the singer of a speed metal band called Hail Satan, which, if you like speed metal, check it out. It's fun.
Yeah, they're great.
We are going to be wrapping up cutting our first full length, actually, here within the next, 2 months. Man, cutting that record, god damn it, it's the pandemic, so, having a band is a fucking pain in the dick to begin with, but, oh, man, our producer, our friend Ben, is producing the record. He left town. He went to visit his fiance in fucking Boston. That was supposed to be 2 weeks, then it turned to be 8 weeks, and then, I don't know, COVID-19 shit, everybody lost their jobs, and fucking... We were thinking that it was gonna take us 2 months to cut this record, and it still is not done. And we started it in fucking the very beginning of June. It was then
I feel your
our
pain.
producer had a cluster headache that caused him to have a bunch of fucked up seizures, and so that was a whole nother month of just not being able to, it's just all never ending. It's this fucking thing is cursed. But that's gonna be coming out soon.
And keep walking forward.
It's gonna that thing is gonna be very sweet. Please find that. That'll be on Spotify and fucking places that you stream music.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for the new Hell Satan album.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for more comics by Jake Fairly.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for more animation from Macy Lytle. Thanks so much for watching the podcast, guys. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. This has been episode 121 of the motherfucking podcast. I'm Aaron Howell.
I'm Macy.
Yeah. Well, I actually accidentally did that pause. I had a brain fart because I was trying to think of what I should say about Gordo with him not being here. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out. And big shout out to Ethan Klein for coming in and setting up the room. And big shout out to Jake Fairly for being our first in-studio guest since fucking March, dude. We're gonna start doing more of these. Yeah, dude, it's great to actually have you in the room.
Sure. Yeah,
because I've been wanting to check up on you. I called and left you 2 voicemails.
We talked about that. I don't check my voicemail.
Yeah, I left you 2 very, very sweet voicemails.
Yeah,
have you listened to them yet?
I have. I don't even know how to listen to my voicemail on my phone.
Someday you'll figure it out, and you'll be like, dude, and it'll be like when you're very old, and I'll have long since passed, and someone will be like, Grandpa, here's how you get into your voicemail. And you'll have all these sweet messages from people, and you'll just start tearing up, and then that'll be the end of the Jake Fairly movie.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you guys.
Immediately after that, it sounds like he's
guys.
gonna die. After that.
That's sad. That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Godspeed,
Fade
everybody.
to black. Bye.